Hi, this is Kendall Boyson, professional life and recovery coach, and you're listening to Encouragementology, the practice of instilling hope. Hi there. Thanks for joining me. On this show, we are recognizing that moods matter because our inner world dramatically shapes our outer experience. Have you ever waited on someone or something to change the energy in the room, cheer you up, or just make the day feel better? Maybe you've thought, if they'd just smile, or if one good thing would happen, maybe I'd feel different. We've all been there, hoping for a rescue from a funk we just can't quite shake. But what if we've been giving away too much power? What if the secret to turning the day around isn't out there somewhere, but already within us? In this episode, we're flipping the script. Instead of waiting for something to shift our mood, we're exploring how our mood might actually be the thing shifting everything else. How we think, how we feel, how we choose to respond, it all ripples out and shapes what comes next. Could it be that we're the thermostat, not the thermometer? That we're not just reacting to the world, but co-creating it in real time? Let's dig into what this means, how to tell when our mindset is steering the ship and when it's stuck in the ditch, and how we can use this awareness to show up differently, even when the world around us stays the same. Let's kick things off with a truth that feels simple on the surface, but hits a little deeper the more you sit with it. Your mood shapes your experience more than your experience shapes your mood. We often think we're reacting to what's happening around us, but in reality, we're often reacting to what's happening within us, and the response colors the whole scene. The idea leans into what psychologists call emotional reasoning, where we believe something is true based solely on how we feel. For example, if I feel overwhelmed, I assume the situation is chaotic. If I feel ignored, I assume people don't care. But the kicker? The situation may not actually be that bad. It just feels that way because of the emotional lens I'm looking through. It's like wearing sunglasses indoors and wondering why everything looks dim. Our brains are wired to scan for threats, to make quick judgments, and to look for evidence that supports how we already feel. That's called confirmation bias. And when we're in a funk, our minds will happily hand us proof that the day is, in fact, garbage. But here's the good news. Once you realize this, you can interrupt the loop. You can change the glasses, so to speak. You can take back control of your mood and with it, the way you engage with the world. So rather than waiting for something outside of you to cheer you up or fix the day, what if you became your own emotional thermostat? Not to fake positivity or push feelings aside, but to gently shift how you interpret the moment, choose your response, and create a ripple effect from the inside out. Let's take a moment to check in, not with the world around you, but with the emotional climate you're carrying into the world. Think of this as your internal weather report. Are you mostly sunny? A little overcast? Somewhere between fog and firestorm? Answer these questions as honestly as you can. There's no wrong answers, just information to work with. Okay, when you wake up in the morning, what is your first thought? Now I'm going to give you some A, B, C's, and D's, so write your answers down. When you wake up in the morning, what's your first thought? Is it A, let's do this? Is it B, ugh, already? Is it C, what day is this again? Or D, I hope nothing goes wrong today? Be honest with yourself. Number 2, you walk into a room of people you don't know. Your first instinct is to A, smile and introduce yourself. B, look for the exit or a quiet corner. C, wait and feel things out. Or D, brace for the judgment. Number 3, when something unexpected happens, like plans get canceled or someone lets you down, you typically A, roll with it. Life happens. B, feel disappointed and carry it for a while. C, try to rationalize it, but still feel thrown off. D, immediately take it personally. Now let's be honest here. You might see a pattern, but this is a chance for you to identify these feelings and these reactions. Number 4, your inner voice sounds most like A, a coach. You've got this. B, a worrier. What if this goes wrong? C, a critic. You could have done that better. D, a mix of cheerleader and grumbler. I don't even have one for that. Number 5, when someone asks how you're doing, your honest internal answer is A, pretty good actually. B, tired but okay. C, surviving. D, depends. Why do you want to know? All right, let's total those up. What do you have most of? If you look down and you mostly have A's, your thermostat is set on optimistic and adaptable. You tend to bring the sunshine even when the skies are gray. Keep it up. But don't feel like you have to stay up all the time. You are allowed a cloudy day too. Mostly B's. Your thermostat is set on low and steady. You're thoughtful and cautious, but sometimes you carry emotional weight longer than you need to. A small perspective shift could lighten your load. Maybe you're mostly C's. Your thermostat is reactive and situational. Your mood swings with the moment, and that's totally human, but it may be stealing more of your peace than you realize. Anchoring your day with intention before life starts happening can help bring you more consistency. And maybe you're mostly D's. Your thermostat is set to guarded and self-protected. You've likely been burned or overwhelmed, and now you scan for danger. But you might be missing moments of joy and connection. It's safe to adjust the dial. You don't have to stay stuck. Now that you have a sense of your default setting, ask yourself, is this working for me? And most importantly, what small shift could I make today to regulate my own energy before I expect the world to do it for me? Dr. Beth Curlin gives us some insight on how to shift perspective when you're stuck in your own way. This is found at Psychology Today. Sitting by the edge of the indoor pool on a winter's day, I swung my feet into the water, feeling the full-on rush of cold water against my feet and ankles. Boy, is this water cold, I thought to myself. Not quite ready to plunge in, I dipped my fingers and then hands into the water, surprised to discover the warmth of the water against my skin. Wait, actually the water feels nice and warm. This phenomenon struck me as very curious. My feet, having been in my warm shoes, would have me believe the water was cold. My hands, having been in the cold air, would have me believe the water was warm. The water temperature was the same. It hadn't changed. But my experience of it, my perception of it, was quite different depending on which part of my body was submerged in the water. This perceptual illusion can occur not only with one's physical senses, but with one's thinking and cognitive processes as well. We can experience the same situation very differently depending on our perspective and the narrative we tell ourselves about a situation. This, in turn, can affect how we feel and how we react. This concept is at the core of cognitive behavioral therapy. Think about a situation like a coworker walking past you with their head looking down at their phone, not even acknowledging you. If you're already in a bad mood or stressed from experiences that occurred earlier in the day or week, you might interpret that your coworker was ignoring you, maybe upset at you or being rude. In turn, you might feel hurt or become more irritable. Now imagine another day when you were in a fabulous mood, feeling peaceful and content. When you notice your coworker walking past you without acknowledging you, you might wonder if they saw you or if they were unusually preoccupied or perhaps stressed. You might say, "Oh well," and go on with your morning, or perhaps call out hello and ask how they're doing. Same situation. Very different interpretation and subsequent reaction. Nothing changed about your coworker's behavior in these two scenarios. The only difference is your perception and interpretation of the situation, filtered through the lens in which you're looking. Foundational to our well-being is the recognition that our cognitive perceptions are not fixed, solid truths, but are in fact viewed through an interpretive lens. We can't necessarily choose our split-second initial reaction and emotion, but when we practice bringing greater mindful awareness to those initial reactions, there is a space in which we have greater choice about how we proceed, what we tell ourselves going forward, and ultimately, where we focus our attention. I have a friend who recently was recovering from a concussion. She relayed to me that at times she found herself focusing on her perceived lack of progress, how long it was taking for her to recover, and how she wished she were further along with being able to do more. At these times, she noted that she felt subsequently frustrated, disappointed, and upset. But there were other times, even within the same day, when she chose to focus on the small but incremental progress she was making, the tiny but noticeable improvements that were occurring over time, if she really looked. At these times, she felt a profound shift in her body and mood, a sensation of lightness, a feeling of optimism, and a sense of gratitude. By choosing where she rested her mind and by taking conscious control over her narrative, she experienced a dramatic shift in her emotions. Let's take a look at a short practice, which involves 4 steps you can try when you feel stuck in a perspective that may not be serving you. To illustrate this, imagine a person who works from home the majority of the week, whose house sustained water damage and has to undergo construction for the next 2 months. Number 1, notice. This is the first part of the 4. Notice. Notice what it is that you're telling yourself about the given situation. How are you interpreting this situation? What narrative are you telling yourself? Is what you're saying accurate? Is it the absolute truth? What happens inside your body when you believe this interpretation or story to be true? Don't judge yourself. Simply notice the workings of your mind with curiosity and openness. Does it sound like this? This is going to be so stressful. I can't stand when things are in disarray. And between the banging and the daily upheaval, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. It's awful. Your body feels tight, tension, and a sense of being closed in. Second step, accept. Accept whatever your initial feelings are about the situation. You don't have to put on a happy face and pretend everything is fine if you're feeling hurt and angry inside or even upset. It's okay to acknowledge whatever you're feeling and accept the emotions that are present. I'm feeling anxious and unsettled. This is difficult for me. Number 3, inquire. Inquire as to whether there might be alternative ways of looking at the situation. Imagine moving around a room and viewing the same object, but from multiple angles. Try on different narratives. Is there one that feels authentic and accurate and is actually more helpful to navigate the challenge at hand? No question, this is a challenging situation and not one I would have chosen. But thankfully, this water damage, any other challenge, fill in the blank, is a fixable problem, and the repair does have an end date. There was another time I had to go through something similar when my house was under construction, and it was difficult but bearable. Inquire, remind yourself that you can get through it. And then number 4, shift. Shift where you choose to focus your attention. Shift the lens from which you're looking. What happens in your body and mind when you do that? This is not about burying your head in the sand or pretending something isn't there or pushing feelings away. It's about inviting in something new, in addition to what you already might have, and noticing what happens as you rest your attention there. I'm resilient in the face of change. This likely won't be easy, and I may need to be creative about finding places outside of the home where I can work. I can make sure to take care of myself by reaching out to people who I know will be supportive and who I can call for help. I'll get through this. Notice how your body feels a bit more relaxed, at ease, with a sense of more breathing space. In a nutshell, it's all about shifting your perspective when you're stuck in your own way, which, let's be honest, happens to all of us. Sometimes it's not the situation that's holding us back. It's our mindset about the situation. So basically, it's 3 simple ideas. First, notice what story you're telling yourself. Are you stuck in "this always happens to me" mode? That's your cue. Second, accept how you're feeling without trying to shut it down or slap a fake positive sticker on it. You can't shift what you won't face. And third, reframe it. Try to see the situation from another angle. Maybe it's a challenge that's actually pointing you towards something better. In other words, your thoughts aren't always facts, but they are powerful. And sometimes all it takes is changing the lens to realize you're not as stuck as you think. So we've explored how our mood affects our experience and not the other way around. Now it's time to turn the awareness into action. If you've ever caught yourself spiraling into a negative headspace and thinking, today is just off, then the good news is you've already taken the first step. You noticed it. But now comes the empowering part. Realizing that you can do something about it. You don't have to wait for a miracle text, a better attitude from someone else, or for Mercury to stop retrograding. You can shift your own energy in real time. Here are 4 practical ways to adjust your emotional thermostat when things start to feel too hot, too cold, or just off. Number 1, Start the day with intention, not reaction. Instead of letting your first emotion of the day dictate the rest of it, try this simple morning reset. Before grabbing your phone or checking the news, ask yourself, what kind of energy do I want to bring into today? It could be calm, curiosity, gratitude, or focus. Set it, name it, and return to it when the day starts pulling you in a million directions. Number 2, notice your patterns without judgment. The goal isn't to never feel annoyed, sad, or frustrated. It's to recognize when you're camping out in those places too long. Try this phrase, I'm feeling blank, and that's okay, but I don't have to stay here. This gives your mood space to breathe without letting it run the whole show. Number 3, create a go-to mood shift playlist for life. Music, movement, or even a go-to mantra can pull you out of a funk faster than waiting on something to change. Have a few things ready that you know work for you. A feel-good playlist, a quick walk, a podcast that always gets you thinking. Anything that reminds you of your power to reset. Number 4, practice the 5-minute flip. When you catch your mood sliding, give yourself 5 minutes to flip the lens. Ask yourself, is this about me? Or am I just absorbing energy from around me? What's another way I could see this? What would I say to a friend who is feeling this way? It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about stepping back and saying, I can choose how I move through this. The bottom line, you're not at the mercy of the world's mood swings. You don't have to wait for someone else to lighten the atmosphere or for your circumstances to shift. You are more powerful and more influential than you give yourself credit for. Start small, stay curious, and keep checking that emotional thermostat. Let's delve into the concept that our beliefs significantly influence our actions and outcomes. Carol Fossey declares, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. Found on LinkedIn. She emphasizes that believing in one's ability to achieve a goal is crucial, as self-doubt can hinder progress even before any action is taken. This quote is often attributed to Henry Ford, though versions of it have been attributed to a number of other people as well. The very first person to have said something very similar was the Roman poet Virgil, who was born in 70 BC. The actual quote is, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. But for me, the quote doesn't go far enough. It's not about thought. Thought is logical. You can think you can do something, but still don't. The word think to me gives an impression of uncertainty, as in, I think I can get this done by tomorrow, but I might be able to think I can get the time off work, but maybe I can't, etc. You see where I'm going. Why is it that people don't achieve stuff they think they could achieve? Because thought is not enough. Descartes famously said, I think, therefore I am. That may be enough to prove your existence, but thinking alone is not enough for achieving anything. No, the real quote should be, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. Because emotion determines the outcome every time. If you believe you can't, then you're 100% correct. Because a belief that you can't do something will certainly stop you from doing it, or often from even trying to do it. For example, I don't believe I can run. This is a throwback from school, where I hated all forms of grass-based physical activity. Hockey, track, and field sports, and especially running, though I was netball captain at one stage and also loved tennis, badminton, or most gym-based stuff. If I think about it, it's down to being cold or warm. As a child, we didn't have much money. I was often cold. So to me, putting yourself in a position to be voluntarily cold was not up my alley. I've carried this belief with me through life, and the outcome of this belief is that I don't run. I might occasionally do a jog if I'm late for the train, but only if no one around is looking. If I have spectators, frankly, I'd rather miss the train and get the next one. Now, is it true that I can't run? No, of course not. I'm a human being with full use of all my limbs. Human beings can run. Ergo, I can run. I have also fallen several times when running due to some balance issues, and therefore, I now believe it's safer for me not to run, so I don't. So often when people say they can't do something, what they really mean is, I don't want to, or I think I will fail. I will look like an idiot. I don't know how to do it, or a myriad of other things. And so these self-limiting beliefs or stories they tell themselves stop them from doing things. Maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't actually need or want to run anywhere. Not a big deal. But what if it was something I really wanted to do? What if it were something you really wanted to do? What are you telling yourself you can't do that you probably could? My friend believes she can't give up smoking, stop drinking, or lose weight. My mom believes there's certain stuff she can't do because she's too old. What they both really mean is, I'm scared of failing, or I'm scared of succeeding. What would life really be like if I could let go of these beliefs? Some people never do things they really, really want to do because they don't get the support of others, like starting their own business or moving into another part of the world or the country. All those things are sad because it's so often the things we don't do that are our biggest regrets in life. So you might be asking, what about the people who think they can? Does just thinking you can mean that you will? Well, now we're getting into philosophical and metaphysical grounds. I think the short answer is no. It doesn't mean you will. Depending on the size of your goal, the physical laws of the world, and the strength of your own belief. If you want to lose weight or give up smoking, and you really, really want it, it is your true belief that you can do it, then you will do it. If you want to be a champion of Wimbledon and you're 60 years old, it's probably not going to happen. If you're in your 20s, physically fit, and have a strong belief and put the work in, you still may not be a champion of Wimbledon. Because here's the thing, not everybody can. There is only one men and women's Wimbledon champion every year. Maybe the other guy was just a better player. Maybe you woke up with a stiff neck. Maybe his belief was a tiny bit stronger than yours, if only for a few seconds on a crucial shot. Because sure as eggs are eggs, as my nan used to say, the person who won believed they would. The person who lost also probably believed they would win, and they nearly did. But the person who never believed they could win never won anything. If you aim for the stars, you will at least get to the moon. But if you believe interstellar travel is not possible, then you'll never get beyond the end of your street. In a nutshell, here's the heart of it. If you believe you can't do something, start a new habit, speak up in a meeting, make a change, you're probably not even going to try. Or if you do, you'll hold back, half committed, already expecting to fail. But if you flip the script and believe you can, even if you're not 100% sure how, it changes everything. You approach the challenge differently. You show up with more energy, more ideas, more hope. And that mindset alone increases your chances of succeeding. In other words, your belief is the starting block. It either holds you back before you get going or gives you the fuel to move forward. So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure, it might be time to check in with what you believe about yourself, not the situation. Because the first real shift, it doesn't happen out there, it happens in here. Dr. Tracy Marks is a board-certified general and forensic psychiatrist with over 20 years of experience. She's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and specializes in mood disorders, anxiety, and burnout, and has provided expert opinions in numerous legal cases. Beyond her clinical practice, Dr. Marks is passionate about mental health education. She shares insightful content on her YouTube channel, Dr. Tracy Marks, aiming to increase awareness and understanding of psychiatric disorders and mental well-being. As a people pleaser who generally falls in the trap, I thought this was important for us to add to the mix. Dr. Tracy Marks on why you're an emotional sponge and 5 tips for better boundaries. For my other people pleasers out there, get ready to identify hard.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, and I make mental health education videos. Today's video is talking about how you can take on other people's emotions and how to stop doing it. And this is based on a viewer question from Kelly, and she says, "Hi, Dr. Marks. I don't know why I always seem to attract emotionally intense people. I get overwhelmed by them, and then I shut down and don't have anything to do with anyone. So now I don't have anyone in my life. I don't know why I end up with these people. How do I stop doing this?" Thanks, Kelly, for your question. I would start out by saying, on the issue of attracting these people, I think you should see the attraction as a two-way mirror. There's something about you that makes the intensely emotional person want to be around you and hand off their emotions to you. But there's something about them that draws you to them and allows you to tolerate their behavior. Now, what I'm going to say is not aligned with any specific theory of being an empath or highly sensitive person. Those are terms that have been researched and defined by others and have specific meanings to them. What I'm talking about is my opinion based on general psychodynamic principles. I think one of the reasons you absorb other people's emotions is having a low emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage your own emotions and recognize the emotions of others. With high emotional intelligence, you're able to distinguish between your emotions and someone else's. Making that distinction is really important if you don't want to take on someone else's emotions and make them your own. To recognize your emotions, you must have a certain degree of self-awareness. And it's one thing to recognize that you feel bad, but bad is vague and nonspecific. You can feel bad because you're angry, insulted, bored, or feel empty. And all of those emotions are very different from one another, but can be put under the umbrella of bad. So at any given time, if you're not clear on how something affects you, it's easy to take on the emotions of someone else and assume what they feel. Then, once you assume that other person's emotions, you have trouble managing it on your end. Here's an example. Suppose you're taking a break at work and you're sitting at your desk watching a funny TikTok video. Your coworker, who you consider a friend, comes up to you and starts ranting about how she's so angry because her boss gave her a bad review and she didn't get her raise. So she doesn't see how anyone can work in this place with this kind of boss who doesn't care about anyone. And she doesn't know how long she's going to stick around at this place. 2 minutes ago, you were laughing at the dog video you were watching, but now you feel overwhelmed with anxiety about your position at work. Should you stay in this job? Is it even a safe place to work? Later on that night, you have trouble sleeping because you may fear you may lose your job. Now, no one told you that your job is in jeopardy, but you just have this sense that maybe it is. Back at work, your friend settles down and you even see her laughing with your boss about something. So your anxiety subsides and you start to feel that all is well. And things start to return to their usual. But you still lost a couple of weeks of poor sleep and feeling anxious. Now, part two of this scenario is that this person is your friend. And when she got this bad news, you're the only person she ranted to, probably because you're the only person who would listen. But if you're someone who doesn't always know what you feel or doesn't feel strongly about things, at some level, you may be attracted to people who have strong, clear opinions. It's not a deliberate process of saying to yourself, I don't know how I feel, so I feel whatever you do. Instead, it's an unconscious process, meaning that it's beyond your awareness that helps you deal with your own emotional uncertainty by assigning someone else's emotions to yours. It's unsettling to feel vague about how something affects you, and it's reassuring to have someone who's more resolved about how they feel swoop in and show you how to feel. And this is an automatic process that happens like a reflex. And what's the evidence for that? The fact that you keep attracting people with strong emotions that overwhelm you. You have to be drawn to them in some way. Another reason you may be drawn to people with strong emotions that overwhelm you is being a people pleaser or needing to fix people. If you don't want to disappoint someone, it's easy to take the handoff when they present their intense negative emotion to you. Here's an example of this. Suppose your partner tells you that he had this horrible thing happen to him where he felt exploited in some way, like people were taking advantage of him. And then he explodes about it and then storms off. You're left standing there feeling upset about what happened to him, and you feel bad for him. Nevertheless, you have plans with your girlfriends to go to the movies later that evening. So you start to get dressed, and he asks, "Where the heck do you think you're going?" You remind him that you had plans with your girlfriends. He explodes at you about how could you even think about going out with your friends after what he's been through. If you cared anything about him, you wouldn't be able to go have fun. You think, gosh, I guess that is pretty insensitive of me to go out and have fun when he's so unhappy. So you cancel your plans. So, to find something to do because he's stormed off in a room by himself, you binge watch something on Netflix and fall asleep on the couch. You see him the next morning and he says he didn't get a wink of sleep all night and he doesn't believe you really care about him because how could you even sleep so peacefully after something like that happened to him? The rest of the day, you feel awful and think maybe you don't care for your partner as much as you should. You convince yourself that you're insensitive and you wish you could be a better person, and you start thinking of ways that you could be a better partner to him. In this example, the people-pleasing part of you puts up with his need to see you suffer so that he can feel validated. In fact, you don't see it that way. You really buy into his assertion that the evidence that you care about him is that you take on the same emotion that he has and experience it for as long as he does. And as long as he's unhappy, you should be unhappy as well. But because you don't want to disappoint him, you accept this assertion and own it. This scenario works a little differently for the person who wants to fix or help instead of please. So the same thing happens. He comes home and tells you about his upsetting experience that he had, and you feel pain for him. He doesn't need to tell you not to go out with your friends because you're not in the mood anymore. You're so upset that you can't see yourself having fun with your girlfriends. Or if you do go, you spend the whole time with your girlfriends talking about his situation and how horrible those people were to him. Even if you don't take his side on the issue, you've taken on a project of healing him, and you're going to heal him through your love. But while you're working to heal him, you're also experiencing the emotions as if it happened to you. Now, these are not the only reasons that you can be an emotional sponge. We just looked at 2 reasons, but let's look at what you can do about this. The first thing is to increase your emotional intelligence. You start this by increasing your self-awareness. In a previous video, I talked about getting into the habit of being specific about what kinds of emotions you're experiencing at any given time. I created these emotions cards to help expand your vocabulary when it comes to identifying general emotions and being able to make them more specific. You can download these cards from my website at Mark Psychiatry. The second thing you can do is stop and think about whether what you're feeling is coming from you or is it because of the way someone else felt. Is the negative emotion you're experiencing something that was handed off to you by someone? Did you only start feeling this way because the person you care about felt that way? And keep in mind, it's not always bad to empathize with someone and react the same way they did. That leads to the next thing that you can do, which is learn to manage your emotions so that they don't overwhelm you. And there's many ways to do this. One way is to practice mindfulness meditation. I have a video on managing negative emotions that includes a mindfulness exercise that helps you observe anger in a neutral way and accept it and let it pass. So the idea is that you don't have to run away from every negative emotion that you see coming, but you want to be able to build an emotional force field around you that allows you to be in the presence of negative emotions, observe them, interact with them, but keep them from piercing your soul and taking over your thoughts and behavior. The fourth tip would be to ensure that you have proper boundaries between yourself and others. Sometimes this is as concrete as having a physical distance. So in this example that I had of the coworker yelling at you about her experience, in that situation, it may be helpful to push back and let there be more physical distance between her and you. And it sounds very basic, but it really can make a difference. Watching someone rant from a distance is an entirely different experience than having them rant right in your face. It's as if the further away they are, the more that you can keep what they're experiencing separate from you. If they get too close into your personal space, you can lose sight of what's theirs and what's yours. The last tip has to do with the need to save people. And there's different reasons you may do this. For some people, it helps give them a sense of control. You can take control of the negative things and make them positive. It could also be a way to distract from your own pain by focusing on someone else's pain. For some people, they need a damaged person to fix as a way of making themselves feel validated. So there's lots of motivations behind the need to save people, and it can get complicated. But suffice it to say that if you notice this pattern with yourself, it's worth taking a step back and reflecting on what you're getting out of it. What's the payoff to you to change the way this person thinks or to make all negative things positive? And I'm not talking about trying to save your child from experiencing the pain of growing up. I'm talking about a pattern that shows itself peer-to-peer with your adult relationships.
If you want to share encouragementology with a friend who needs to know they're not alone in this journey of self-discovery, you can visit encouragementology.com or anywhere you stream your content to receive this episode and all others. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for additional encouragement throughout the week. So I challenge you, take ownership of your mood today. Recognize that by adjusting your internal narrative, you have the power to transform not only your own experience, but also the world around you. Enjoy this newfound freedom. I know you can do it. Thank you for listening to Encouragementology with Kendall Boyson, where we find positive ways to handle some of life's challenges.
I stumbled through until the path was clear.